Hi, and welcome to JD's Longbox. I'm your host, JD. I've been fascinated with cyborgs since my first viewing of Terminator 2 and RoboCop, and I jumped into manga and anime for the detailed cyberpunk worlds, so I'm not sure if it was the original video animation or the Viz Media prints of the manga where I first discovered Battle Angel Alita, but it wasn't until the 2019 feature film, Alita Battle Angel, that the story really captured my imagination, and this led me to seek out the original source material. While there are noticeable differences between all three tellings of her story, I'll share a few key elements. Ito, a cybernetic engineer that's looking for spare parts in the cast-off waste dumped from the floating city of Salem, finds the remains of a cyborg with a surviving human brain. He returns to his shop to rebuild her and gives her the name Alita. While Alita has no memory of her past, she does retain her Panzerkunst fighting skills from her previous life, and she uses them to become a hunter-warrior, a type of bounty hunter that acts as the only form of law enforcement in Scrap Iron City. This sets her on a path to facing off with the powerful cyborgs that have been terrorizing the city. Along the way, she also meets Yugo, a young handyman with dreams of going to the floating city. Alita develops an innocent crush on Yugo, but Yugo can't fight his obsession to reach Salem. In the end, Alita has to choose sides when Yugo's obsession leads him down a dark path. For this episode, we're taking a look at Battle Angel Alita Volume Number 1, published by Kodansha Comics in 2017. This deluxe edition reprints the original art by Yukito Kishiro that was originally published in Shueisha's Business Jump magazine in 1990, and features a new English translation by Stephen Paul. The character of Alita, or Gali as she's known in the original manga, was created by Yukito Kishiro, who is an auteur as the writer and the artist in this book. Part 1. Writing. Was the main character's motivation clear? Being that this book was laid out in a series of connected short stories, Alita is presented as a naive young woman new to the world and filled with a passion to fight for those she loves. Her passion leads her to face off against the villains of her world, but that same passion could lead her astray. At the beginning, we don't know where Alita came from, and we don't find out what drives her to become a hunter-warrior. The only clue is her passion to fight for those she loves or feels the need to protect. This gets a 7. Did the writer make me care about the protagonist and her goal? Each story arc features sympathetic characters that affect Alita and the audience. We see through Alita's eyes that the world isn't black and white. This gets a 9. Did I feel menaced by the antagonist? At first I did feel menaced. Makaku was a disgusting and formidable villain, but once Alita gets her berserker body, she's overpowered and begins to feel invulnerable. This gets an 8. Were there interesting twists and turns? Since the story arcs were short, Kishiro didn't veer too far from the plot, but he does give a variety of story ideas throughout the chapters. He likes to set up a character that you think you understand, only to emotionally pull the rug out from under you with a big reveal. This gets a 9.5. Pacing. The stories move along very fast and made for a quick read, but there's also time for character growth and depth. This gets an 8. Dialogue. The characters all sound the same, but the simple dialogue may have been a byproduct from the translation. This gets a 7.5. Were the characters interesting? Alita was cute, naive, and hyper-vigilant, hence the term Battle Angel. Yugo's obsession with reaching the floating city of Salem seems like a misguided distraction until you learn his backstory. Even the evil Makaku had a horribly tragic backstory that leads Alita to feel sorry for him. Actually, Alita shares many characteristics with the other characters she crosses paths with. This gets a 9.5. Part 2. Pencils. Does the style match the story or genre? The clean lines, detailed backgrounds, and unique cyborgs paints a cyberpunk world that is equal parts dystopia and futuristic wonderland. This gets a 9.5. Is there good storytelling? The usually simple panels, expressive close-ups, and speedlines keeps everything moving fast. Camera angles help show the relationships between characters and show off the towering cyborgs. This gets a 9. Character designs. The characters are all clearly defined and easily identifiable from panel to panel. He throws in a lot of unique creations, but some of the evil cyborgs lack the intricate details I'd like to see. This gets an 8. Costumes. The costumes are all extremely simple. Only Alita seems to have any sense of style with her shiny leather jumpsuit, leggings, and overcoat. Ornamentation is restricted to the most ostentatious cyborgs. This gets a 7. Props and scenery. Kishiro's use of twisting and entwined shapes is expressed in his cyborgs as well as the architecture, showing off a city and its denizens that are rebuilt layer on top of layer. This gets a 9. Panel flow. It must be pointed out that while Western comics read left to right, top to bottom, and comic pages are laid out for your eye to follow this path, Japanese manga is laid out to be read from top right to bottom left. Many American reprints are flipped like a mirror image to make them easy to read in the left to right tradition. This Deluxe Edition restores the original panel flow reading right to left, and is bound with its pages ordered right to left, so the book appears to be printed backwards. However, knowing this, I quickly got used to this layout. The panels are laid out in simple blocks of 5 or 6 and never crowd the page. So this gets an 8.5. Part 3. Inks. Does the style match the story? Kishiro's inks are slick and smooth, using speed lines that add energy and zip tone for shading. Every panel is a work of art, and Kishiro's style is inseparable from Alita's story. This gets a 10. Does the line weight add to the definition, shape, and depth? The ink lines are fairly uniform in size, leaving close-ups rather flat. What added to his use of perspective and background details, the wider shots show great depth. This gets an 8.5. Does the black and white enhance the overall experience? While there are colored pages at the beginning of every other chapter meant to give an impression of mood, the majority of this book is meant to be read in black and white. The style keeps the reading quick since you don't get overwhelmed by the color, and instead you can focus on the characters, the story, and the dynamic action. This gets a 9. Overall score. This gets 137 points, or an 86%. Final take. For a book that at first looks like it's about a sexy girl fighting giant robots, there's probably more character development than I've seen in any other book, and to think that Yukito Kishiro was just getting started. I'm looking forward to checking out the next volumes of Alita's story. I really hope you liked this review. Be sure to like and subscribe, and then check out some of my other videos. Until next time, I'm JD, and this box is closed.